One of the things that we often think of as we talk about settling the West is the wagon trains that moved across the plains and through the mountains and etc. And the choice animal for making that long trek across the nation was the oxen, because the oxen could live on the grasses that would be found along the trails. The oxen walks not on tippy toes like a horse, but digs in at the heels, and so when the oxen was shoed, it produced much more pulling power in getting across the prairies, the mud flats, and other things that were encountered. And so you will find the oxen shoed because it is a split-hoofed animal. It takes 2 shoes for each leg of the oxen, and it was the least a burden as settlers moved westward across the nation. We have a large bellows here, very old, which was used in forcing air into the forge and causing the coal to burn bright. Here we have a marsh horseshoe. By putting a large pad on it, the horse would, because it has small feet, would not sink in, and if a horse has a leg that drops in, then it tries to get out, and it's very likely that it will break its leg in trying to get out, and so it would have to be shot. The anvil and the hammer are the tools of the blacksmith, the forge from which he heats the metal. He could look at the piece of metal and know what he could do with it by the color that it would show, and he was a fix-it man. If you had something made of metal and it needed to be repaired, you took it to the blacksmith and he could fix it. He'd take your item and the grind wheel and run it across there. He would look at the spark pattern and he could tell basically the content of that piece of metal, so that some metals heat faster, conduct better, many different things, so you have to treat them very differently as you heat them in the forge. Moving over to this area, usually right next or near the blacksmith was the wheelwright, the person that would take a piece of wood and make a wood frame for the wheel, and then the blacksmith would take the tool hanging here and run around the circumference of that wheel, marking the amount of length of piece of iron he had to cut off. Then he would add a little bit for a lap, and he would then make a blacksmith's weld, and that would then be laid out on the blacksmith's floor or something, and he would hammer that iron tire onto the wooden wheel. He would have heated the metal so it expands so he could drive it on. Once he had it in place, then he would take it out to his cooling tank and throw the wheel in and cause the iron to shrink, and it would, he said, if the wheel is properly made, it would shrink so that the spokes of the wheel would be just slightly bowed, and that was tight enough to keep it on as it made its trip westward.